Good morning, Peter Franklin.
Good morning. I'm surrounded by a bunch of wusses. You know, Sonny, when I was a young man, we used to go out in these snows.
I have become Peter Franklin. That's who I have become because I'm saying the same thing. It's like, let's put this into perspective here, please. Do you agree?
Well, I can remember going to school in New York City, PS 35 in the Bronx, and the cars were covered with snow. I mean, you know, the whole height of the... And we went to school. Now, of course, we're having our usual snow panic in the big city. Yeah. Remember, we're built out of concrete. You people at least have mud, right?
Right. The trees and things that come down.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to shovel your snow away. We can brush our snow away. Yeah. So it's just really corny. But, of course, nobody's working today, so that's the good part, except there are some people who aren't working today and aren't getting paid. That's not good.
Right, because that was the governor's call, right? So all non-essential employees are not coming in today. So, but still, though, high winds and high enough to say blizzard warning. And it is. I mean, listen, we've all been in New York when it's cold out, and that wind whipping is a biting wind. There's just no doubt about it. But snow
it's coming down the canyons of the buildings and everything. But still, you know, you can get to work because the subway, at least the underground part of it, is running. Yeah. So, you know, you can survive with it. But it's a good thing. I'm firmly convinced that the head of the Weather Bureau in Washington, D.C., his brother-in-law sells umbrellas and raincoats, and he's happy.
So, Peter, and they are saying somewhere between it, I mean, depending on where the temperature goes, you could see 20 inches. One meteorologist this morning I was watching saying maybe closer to 12 because it's going to warm up a bit this afternoon and maybe even change over to a portion of it, rain and snow this afternoon.
Yeah, well, at least here, because remember, we do have a different set of circumstances than you folks do. Think of the heat that's generated by the city itself.
Right, that's true.
So right now, to me, it really looks like just a nasty rain. I mean, we're getting some snow, but if there's going to be a big dump on us, it's not yet. It really isn't.
A couple stories out there. Governor Cuomo, who started running for president, that seems to be the word right now, that he is in the midst, and we've all kind of thought it was true, but now it seems like there's some proof out there. He's running.
Yeah, well, you see, we get in a real dilemma here in New York City because the question is, who do you dislike more? Him as the governor or de Blasio as the mayor, you know? And so they're constantly fighting, so I'm sure de Blasio will probably now decide he wants to run for mayor. But the thing that caught my eye, and I don't know whether or not you're aware of this, is restrictions on age.
Marriage, yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah, that I wasn't aware of the fact that a kid could get married at 14 in New York.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, and I guess now we've let everybody know that. But, you know, that's kind of young, and especially since I looked it up, and I think this is the most astounding fact, which is why I'm a better chief correspondent for you than the New York Times, is that you can't get a divorce in New York unless you're 18.
That is interesting how it's harder to divorce than it is to get married right now.
The kid can get married at 14.
Wow.
But she can't get, can't get divorced until she's 18. I don't know. I think maybe that's part of his, I don't know, this is going to sound far out, but that maybe he's appealing to children for his votes or something or other because he wants to eliminate that law. I don't know if there's a connection, but I'm thinking
Peter,
maybe there is.
I heard the governor was jumping for joy when the president actually fired U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara.
Yeah, but that's not right. I mean, am I the only one who knows the true story? They're all supposed to resign. As far back as I can remember, is all of the U.S. attorneys are supposed to resign, and that gives the new president the opportunity to appoint everything. So the fact that they want everybody to resign, I know we like to blame everything on Trump,
but
I don't see there's any big deal.
This story is a little different because Trump met with Bharara back in December, November or December, after the election, and said he was keeping him on. And it is true that Bharara did some grandstanding because he was then asked to resign, and he said, I'm not going to resign, and then they fired him. But my point would be, of all U.S. attorneys, get rid of all of them, but don't get rid of the guy that's like going through the Assembly and the Senate in New York State and just chewing them up and spitting them out. I mean, this guy takes on corruption. I think he's like a hero.
No, he really has, but I think part of it is his connection to Schumer. And
There
the
is
reason for
something
that
there,
is
too,
you got to
yeah.
remember that he was a protege of Schumer as long as the
Yeah.
penis guy was, too.
That's Wiener, right?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah,
I was going to leave him unidentified.
And
So,
Glad you said the other word instead.
that's
Yeah.
right. That was so good of you.
Since Schumer is the big pain in the you-know-what for Trump, I think someplace in the midst of all of that, because obviously I don't think the U.S. attorney would have put up this little battle if he didn't say, hey, Chuck, what do you think I ought to do?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to it. But, well, I'll have my spies eavesdropping on Schumer every time he gets in a cab. Like never.
And quickly, the Domino's franchises, which have been accused of what? Appalling
well,
wage
that's not
stuff?
great. Listen, our attorney general for New York State really goes after these guys, and there was some astronomical figure, which I don't remember offhand. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, where they were screwing. Literally and I guess figuratively, the employees of their stores. And I can't think of his name. Oh, Schneiderman. Couldn't think of his name for a minute. Has gotten them to pay up about $500,000. That's a lot of ripping off, you know.
That's a lot of pizzas, too, by the way.
That is.
Okay, Peter, it's Gabby.com, the best tour in New York City. It really, really is. And you get details on his website at Gabby.com. Peter, enjoy the snow.
Thank you, and everybody up there, stay warm.
Peter Franklin, Gabby Cabby.